What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crypto Savvy channel. I'm Craig, and we are going to be going over the charts. We're going to take a look at the Dow Jones, and then, of course, we're going to get into Bitcoin. And towards the end of the video, I will show you the possible bullish case for Bitcoin, but it's not what everybody's thinking. Stick around. This is going to be an interesting video. Make sure you guys smash that thumbs up. Leave your comments below. Also, subscribe to the channel and tick that notification bell if you want to get notified when I post new videos. I also will be doing some shorts, as in little parts of the videos and putting them up, key areas to watch for. But anyways, let's get into it. And if you guys watched my last video last week, I showed you guys two areas to short at. We're going to take a look at that, see how it's going, and let you know what I'm doing. So anyways, so if the Dow Jones gets any higher, this is the area I'm looking for, somewhere in the 44 to 45 range, if it's able to. But if we zoom in here, let's take a look at this real quick. Right now, we're getting rejected on this trend line off of these two peaks. We got a wick above, but back below. So as long as we are below, say, the 42.5 range, I stay bearish. If we can break above this and gain support here, then I start looking for that 44 to 44.5, 44.6, somewhere, depending on where it would hit this trend line. And why am I thinking that? Because this looks like an ending fifth wave diagonal. If you guys are familiar with Elliott wave, this is how it ends. A big rally ends, right? And if it was to go down, we talked about in the last video, I'm not going to go over it all again, but if you want to see that, go watch my last video talking about when they raised rates, what happens after they raise rates, and why I think the 50 point basis, or the 50-point hike, was a major panic. I do believe. Now, guys, I'm not saying the world's coming to an end. It's not fear and, doom and gloom. It is actually a huge opportunity coming if you pay attention. What the problem with this is, if people getting into the markets, when it does come down, it comes down so fast. I do believe this is a 100-year cycle. I do believe it's going to be just like 1929, and I'm going to show you in the charts why. Just be cautious. At least keep this in the back of your mind, so if things start getting funky, you don't stay in too long. But let's get into it. So anyways, this is what I'm thinking is going on right here. And if we take a look at, let's look for some divergence here. If we go off of these tops, these two highs right here, right? You can go off these highs. You can see the major bearish divergence right here. We got a higher high in the price action, a lower high in the RSI. So another thing to be cautious about. Let's get into the big picture, the macro, right? So this is 1929 on the left side. Now, like I said, it could go up as high as this 44.2 range, maybe 45 if it gets real euphoria kicking in. But either way, this is looking just like how big bubbles, and mind you, this is a 100-year cycle, right? This is how big bubbles pop, right? This went down 89%. If we were to do the same, it would bring the Dow down to 4717. That's 4,700. Not saying that's gonna happen, but even if it went back like the prior ones, so 2007 was 54%, and that got you way down to 55%. It went down, so that would get you down to somewhere around 23,000. And if it went down like 2000, it would be 36%, which would be somewhere around the 15.6 range, right? All right, what would that mean for Bitcoin? Same thing I've been talking about forever. I like to look for cycles. I like to look for market structure. And as you can see, high, higher high, just a barely a higher high. Just like here, we had a high, higher high, barely a higher high. I do believe this is what it's going to look like if the markets continue to crash. Looking for, still, been telling you this forever, I still believe $3,500 to $9,700 Bitcoin. Remember, guys, if the traditional markets crash, speculative assets are the first thing people get out of. Bitcoin is still 100% speculation. Period. The end. It is just a highly speculative. Now, does that mean it is over? Bitcoin goes to zero? Absolutely not. If it does happen and it plays out like this did over here, it could be many, many years, because remember, if the market crashes like it did in 1929, it took 40 years to reach the old highs again, right? But eventually it goes. How much time do you got? That's what you need to think about. If you're younger and you're just planning on holding this and not worrying about it, in your 20s, you'll probably be all right when it's retirement time. But the older ones out there really need to pay attention. So if you guys are interested in trading before we get into Bitcoin, I'm going to show you the key levels. Definitely check out Prime XBT, where you can use my link down below. I do put out promo codes every once in a while on Twitter. I'll start throwing them in my Discord too. By using that can get you a $200 bonus. You don't have to make any deposit. You just have to be signed up with my link to use it. And you can trade that, and whatever you make off it, you make profits, you get to pull the profits out. You can't pull the 200 out, but you can use that 200 to make profits. So awesome way to trade. You can trade Forex, gold, silver, oil, S&P, Dow Jones, everything all from this one exchange instead of, moving stuff around to different exchanges and whatnot. So let's take a look at what I was talking about the last two videos, actually telling you if this trend line broke. Every time it breaks, right, it's at least a $10,000 drop, usually more, right? So we've broken it. Now the retest point is going to be somewhere around that 64.2, 64.3 range. If we can break back above and get support here, then we may have one more move up, as I talked about in the last video. But if you did watch the last video, you got in a short, maybe you moved your stops down and got stopped out, but that's all right, because we talked about how being in Bitcoin and shorting it with Bitcoin is the safest way to go. I'll talk about that here in a second on the next chart again, for those of you that missed it. But this is what I'm looking at. I think we have much further down to go, but so this chart's way back from May, right? And I told you this was the short zone. Way back in May, I drew this in. You can go back and look at the video. Every time we hit that, we get knocked down. Could we test it again? It is possible. Now let's look at why I put this here. And you can see also in the 4-hour, it broke this. So if it does come back up for a retest, where are the areas to watch? Actually, this is where I'm looking for, about 63.4, 63.5. Probably get back in this range, and then a big continuation of the downside. But this is the area I told you I was putting in shorts, which I did, and trail it with stop losses. My stop losses currently are at 64.7 from a 66, right? So either way, if I get stopped out, I'm in profit. But if it goes that high, I think it could go higher. I'll stay in Bitcoin. Just keep my Bitcoin in there, right? Because I shorted Bitcoin. And then if it stops me out, the Bitcoin price grows. So my dollar value goes up with Bitcoin. Then when I short again, it goes down. So let's talk about where the next short is. So I told you, once we break up past this, then we look for this 69. And why is that? Let me show you. Let me get the RSI off there. Let me get these off here and show you why these levels, as I showed you in the last video, why I picked them, right? So looking at this as an ABC, right? You would take your Fibonacci retracement, or extension, I'm sorry, go down to this low over here, and then you go to this high of A, right? And then you go to this low for B right here, and that gave you that 66.360 through 66.4 actually. But that's where I got that from, right? Just a simple Fibonacci use of a Fibonacci extension, right? But then where did I get the other one, the 69.7, right? That's looking at this whole thing as an ABC. So how did I get that? You go from this low up to the high of A, or right over here, right? And then back down to the low. And that gives you that 1-to-1 extension around 69.6, 69.7 range, which would also be the top of this trend line. Now, if that breaks, actually I'll be putting in another short here if I get stopped out of this one. But remember, if I get stopped out, I didn't lose anything because my stops are in profit, because we got in way up here where I told you in the last video. If you don't believe it, go check. You'll see how I got it, why I got it, and how you can do the same thing. But anyways, so now our stops are in profit. So if we get stopped out, then our Bitcoin value goes up because it stops us out into our Bitcoin, right? Up to the 69.7. Then I put in more shorts, and I'll put my stops above, somewhere around 70,200 range. And I gave you the stops back here too. So if we do get up to this level, and I'll put my short in, put my stops at about 70,200 right in there. If I get stopped out, let the Bitcoin ride, because the possibility, the next areas I'm watching for, remember we had this triangle back here, right? And I said about 82.3 would be the target if this remained bullish. But first it has to break that 72 range, let's say. But anyways, now this could also just end up being a trend line like this, right? And then we just got bouncing around in this area for a while before breaking down. And then we would take a measured move to wherever it broke down and bring us down to 37, 3,200, somewhere in there. We'll keep an eye on that. That's why I said make sure you subscribe, because we'll be going over this stuff as it happens. Haven't been making a lot of videos lately because what I'm showing you takes time to play out, as you can see. So anyways, this is what that 82,000 range would look like. It's distribution, right? Wyckoff, Wyckoff. You guys know that I'm a big fan of Wyckoff theory, right? Or Wyckoff method, whatever you want to call it. And I do believe that if it does break this high, you're going to be looking for huge, massive shorts in here for major downside. So either way, guys, look around in the world and look at what's going on. It's crazy. So our government is sending our tax money out to other countries like crazy, but when something happens right here in our country, we got people suffering here, a lot less people too, and they just aren't taking care of them. It's kind of scary, guys. Be careful out there. Much love. This could be the biggest opportunity of your lifetime to catch these markets on the downside. The markets have climbed severely, and all that's happening. So they show you these numbers about inflation's getting better, blah 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 blah. It is not getting better. The markets are going higher. That's a sign of the inflation, because it is what it is, guys. And I do believe there will be a massive deflation, and to be in the dollar would be the smartest thing, in my opinion, just like 2007 and 8 when that happened. Markets came crashing down. If you were holding on to dollars, you got to buy stocks cheap and ride them back up. So anyways, guys, much love. Let me know what you think of the video. Also, let me know if there's some chart you're watching or something you would like me to look at in the next video. Name it below. And yeah, let me know what you think, guys. If you're bullish, hit 1. If you're bearish, hit 2. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next